You remember then there was a prophecy, even here in America, at the time when the prophecy about the famine came. Also, a prophecy also came. Instead of you trying to engage in things that skyrocket the cost of labor in America, the scarcity of labor, so that people will pay, and people were giving money in order to achieve that. People were giving money in order to pay people what they do not deserve. The scripture says equals day's job, day's work, days pay for a day's work. They were being paid weeks' work and months' work for a day's work. And now that they have skyrocketed and makes the cost of labor unreachable, then the prophecy came about all the money that is given. Rather than do so, go into farming and produce enough food for the famine time, for the time of famine, so that it will not crumble and destroy our economy and therefore destroy the economies of the world. Don't pay farmers not to farm. Let them produce abundance so that the price of food will drop down, so that the cost of labor will drop down, so that the cost of living will drop down. That is where the focus of the policy should be then. If you don't do so, whatever money that you put out and distribute and give to the people and you pour out and print is going to escalate and make things unreachable, because the rich will gobble, they will gobble and suck up all the money. That was the prophecy then. And they become richer and richer, and everything will become unreachable to the poor, and it will not solve the problem. They did not listen then. If they had listened, we would not be in what we are today. We were talking about the homes that was unreachable to people. Today, people cannot qualify for home. People cannot buy home. A lot of mortgages are down in the drain. There is just a bubble waiting to burst. They did not listen. But Pharaoh did not know God, but he listened because he has some wisdom in him, and he could tell the truth and not able to say that what is good is bad. He was able to say that what is good and what is bad is bad. And that saved his country now in Nigeria. And they did not learn a lesson there. And everybody was talking about increasing the minimum wage. And rather than making life a living place and a living wage for the people, it's not by always carrying things up, because the wealthy people are always going to be greedy. If you can still lower what you pay to the people to 18, 20, 30,000, and you can lower the cost of food that they could buy a bag of rice for 2,000, that the cement can be purchased for 500 naira, and you bring the cost of housing, build more houses so that you will not have the kind of scarcity, so that people can find a place to stay. Most people in the world and ordinary people are not interested in power and wealth. They just want to provide for their family food to eat. They want to have food on the table. They want a place to live. They can go out and buy clothes to wear. They can be free to go about their businesses. Those that are interested in power and over too much wealth, they can enjoy whatever they want to enjoy, and everybody will be in peace. You say you increase the minimum wage to 70,000. How many companies are going to afford it? Just like we said here, how many small businesses have closed down? They make policies that destroy and tear down the economic system, the ecosystem, and institutions and things and business. Things that bring fulfillment to people, people that give people joy, so that people can enjoy their life work and live their life normally. They take it away. Now you have increased it. A lot of people will go out of businesses, and a lot of people will lose their job in Nigeria to add to the pains. And yet with that money, they cannot buy a bag of rice. The people are better off making 18, 20,000 naira and then be able to buy a bag of rice for 5,000, so that they will have something left to cook the food. Enough until next when they get their next pay. That should have been the focus of the policies that they make, but they wouldn't do that, and because they don't know how. When the prophecy came about people go back and farm, years ago from this altar, they did not listen. Imagine someone like my sister called me recently last week. Actually, this week wants some money. But there was a time I was begging her to go home. We have land that nobody cultivating. You will get money to be able to get labor to cultivate the land. Today, she would have produced more than enough to sell, more than enough for herself. But everybody wants to run to the city. And yet, every day, people are hungry. Every day, people cannot sustain their life. They have business, but when they're sick, they cannot afford to go to hospital. There is no hospital. And then even when they have medication, they cannot afford to buy it because it is too expensive. People are selling adulterated drugs. What a miserable way for people to live. Here in the passage that you read in the book of Genesis 47, the people had a famine that lasted for a long time, but they never lacked food. The wealth they had, they were able to continue to exchange it for food until they were given a land free. Go and cultivate so that you may continue to live and have enough for you and your families. Only bring us a portion. But we have leaders today that rather than be a hand in the hand of God, representing God by providing for the people, people live in debt. How much money do they have in credit card debt? That even though what they are paid as salaries is not enough to provide for their own families. And they tell them to forget that they are hungry. And if they say they are hungry, they point gun at them and shoot them to death. They have debt that goes down and spiral from here to heaven. Debt that is likely going to threaten the economic system for those that have continued to give the debt. They continue to be in debt. They continue to be in debt. They keep borrowing money in order to meet up their expenses to pay their rents and their mortgages. They're borrowing money in order for them to eat their food. Then they have no way to pay back. And it messes up their credit and ruining their life. In the example of a good leader here, Pharaoh reached to the point when they had nothing else to exchange, he turned around and gave them a new beginning so that they can be able. He did not turn them into slaves like most people are trying to do. In America, they want to turn us as Marjories.